Have you ever held on to a question so heavy, so sharp, that it digs into your chest no matter how many years pass? A question that steals sleep, weakens breaths, and waits for the quietest evenings to whisper itself back into your ear. Captain Marcus Hale had carried such a question for over 40 years. Now, in the fading gold light of a Californian sunset, he sat on the wooden porch of the Hillcrest Veterans Home, his eyes fixed on the horizon as if the sky might finally answer him. His hands, once steady enough to guide a P-38 lightning through the storm of war, now trembled faintly in his lap. A young volunteer approached him once and asked why he stared at the sunset every evening. Marcus had smiled, the thin, tired smile of a man holding oceans behind his teeth. "I'm waiting for something I lost a long time ago," he said. But that wasn't the truth. He wasn't waiting. He was remembering. Remembering the sky, the roar of twin engines, a Japanese ace who should have killed him, and a friend who never came home. When Marcus arrived at the 339th Fighter Squadron in the summer of '43, the airfield buzzed like a hornet's nest. Engines roared, mechanics yelled over the noise, pilots swaggered with the confidence of men who knew their lives depended on it. Marcus was assigned to a P-38 Lightning, a sleek silver Predator with 2 engines and a reputation for saving pilots who knew how to handle her, and devouring those who didn't. His crew chief, Benny Ramirez, was a wiry New Yorker with hands stained forever with grease and a heart softer than he pretended. "Treat the Lightning right," Benny said on day 1, "and she'll take you home even when the devil himself tries to cut your wings off." Marcus nodded. The machine already felt like a promise. His wingwoman, Evelyn Sparrow Hart, arrived 2 days later. People stared. Women weren't common in the fighter units. But Sparrow never blinked beneath the attention. She carried a quiet fire in her eyes, the kind that made people listen before she even spoke. Marcus tried not to stare too long. On their first practice flight, Sparrow emerged from the cockpit with wind-blown hair and a grin wide enough to shame the sun. "You fly like you've got something chasing you," she teased. Marcus shrugged. "Maybe I do." She didn't press him, but she never forgot those words. Their first encounter with the mysterious Zero pilot came on a calm morning patrol over the Philippine Sea. The sky was a flawless expanse of blue, the kind of day that made war seem like a rumor. Then Marcus spotted him, a single Zero fighter gliding through the clouds like a white ghost. No formation, no support, just nerve. "Looks alone," Sparrow said through the radio, "either brave or reckless." Marcus angled his P-38 toward the intruder. "Let's give him a scare." But when they closed in, the Zero didn't dive away or break formation. Instead, it performed a smooth half-roll, sliding between them like water slipping through fingers. Marcus fired and missed. Sparrow fired and missed. The Zero drifted behind them for a brief, chilling moment, but didn't shoot. It only wagged its wings gently, as if saying, "Remember me." Then it disappeared into a cloud bank, leaving an eerie silence in its wake. "Back at base," Sparrow whispered. "That pilot, he's different." Marcus didn't answer, but he felt the truth of her words burning under his ribs. A week later, the ghost returned, this time with an entire squadron of Zeros behind him. The sky erupted into chaos. Marcus lost sight of Sparrow momentarily as dogfights broke out in every direction. Tracer rounds streaked across the air like angry fireflies. Then Marcus saw him, the same Zero, the same effortless control. And then, the maneuver. The pilot climbed vertically, twisting his aircraft in a spiraling ascent that defied everything Marcus knew about aerodynamics. The Zero should have stalled. It should have dropped. It didn't. Instead, it pivoted mid-climb and descended with the sharpness of a falling star. "Impossible," Sparrow breathed. Later, Intelligence briefings would reveal the name, Kaminari no Mawari, the Thunder's turn. A move Japanese pilots claimed only one man could execute to perfection. Marcus didn't know the man's name yet, but he would. Rumors swept the squadron like wildfire. Some said the Zero pilot had over 100 kills. Some said he was the son of a samurai. Others claimed he was a ghost, a spirit of vengeance who appeared only to test the living. But Marcus knew one thing for certain. The man had spared him once, and now twice. That wasn't the behavior of a killer. It was the behavior of someone with rules. Someone who hadn't let the war devour him yet. Sparrow caught Marcus staring at the horizon one evening. "You're thinking about him," she said. Marcus didn't deny it. "He's better than me." She nudged him with her shoulder. "Then learn from him, but don't become obsessed." He almost promised her he wouldn't. Almost. One night, Marcus found Sparrow sitting alone behind a storage shed, moonlight tracing her silhouette. She held a small envelope in her hands, staring at it like it was a fragile, living thing. "What's that?" Marcus asked gently. She quickly tucked the letter away. "Just something I keep writing and rewriting." "To your father?" he guessed softly. Her eyes softened. "He still thinks flying is too dangerous. Says I should have stayed home, taught children, lived a sensible life." Marcus sat beside her. The ocean wind carried the smell of salt and smoke. "Sparrow, you're doing something that matters." She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Maybe. Or maybe I'm chasing something I'll never catch." Marcus wanted to ask what that something was, but he didn't. It was the last time he saw that letter while she was alive. It happened on a morning too beautiful to belong to war. The sky was clear. The sea was calm. Sparrow flew on Marcus's right wing, her aircraft shimmering in the sunlight like a silver feather. Then the enemy struck. Zeros burst out of the sun, dozens of them, their engines screaming like banshees. Marcus rolled hard, firing into the swarm. 3 Zeros locked onto Sparrow's tail. "Sparrow, break left," Marcus shouted. "I'm trying," she answered, voice strained. He dove behind her attackers, guns blazing. But he was seconds too slow. Sparrow's plane jolted violently. Smoke belched from her right engine. "Evelyn, bail out," Marcus begged. Static crackled. Then her damaged P-38 spiraled downward, disappearing behind a curtain of clouds. Marcus screamed her name until his voice collapsed, but the sky swallowed his pleas. Sparrow didn't return, and a piece of Marcus died with her. Marcus dove after her falling aircraft, fury blinding him. That was when the ghost appeared. The Zero pilot, calm, precise, watching. Marcus fired every bullet he had left, not aiming, just unleashing his grief. The Zero dodged effortlessly. Then, for the first time, the enemy fired. A short burst, controlled, deliberate. Marcus's engine coughed violently. He realized what the enemy had done. He'd shot to disable, not kill. Why? Why spare him again? As Marcus's plane descended toward the water, the Zero drifted alongside him for a moment. For a heartbeat, their eyes met. The ghost pilot dipped his wings, a gesture Marcus didn't understand. Not until much later. Marcus crash-landed on a small beach outpost. Mechanics rushed to pull him from the battered cockpit. Benny was the first face he saw. "Marcus," Benny whispered, eyes heavy with a grief he didn't know how to express. "I'm so damn sorry about Sparrow." Marcus didn't cry. Couldn't. Everything inside him felt frozen. He stared at the ocean where her plane had disappeared. "Why would the enemy spare me?" he murmured. Benny sighed, wiping his oily hands on a rag. "Maybe he's got a conscience. Maybe he sees something in you he recognizes." Marcus shook his head. "He's the enemy." "Doesn't mean he's heartless," Benny said softly. "None of us chose this war, Marcus." But Marcus wasn't ready to hear that. He only heard Sparrow's silence. And the question, why him? Why spare him again? Grief is a strange teacher. It can destroy a man or sharpen him. Marcus chose the latter. He spent sleepless nights studying every diagram, every manual, every scrap of knowledge on the P-38's structure. He replayed the ghost pilot's maneuver in his head over and over, searching for a counter. Then, one dawn, he climbed into his Lightning and did something that should have been suicidal. He cut the left engine mid-climb. The plane twisted violently, torque ripping it sideways, but Marcus fought the spin, controlled it, shaped it. He turned chaos into precision. By timing the asymmetric thrust perfectly, he created a spiraling ascent mirroring the Japanese maneuver. Benny nearly fainted when Marcus landed. "Are you trying to die?" "That stunt could rip the wings clean off." Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead. "If I can master it, it'll give me a chance." "What do you call it?" Benny asked reluctantly. "The lightning twist." Command called it reckless. Marcus called it hope. The first and only weapon he ever created with grief as its fuel. Marcus's first day back in the air felt like stepping into a memory. The world below was still rebuilding itself from flames and fear, but the sky was the same, wide, blue, and hungry. His squadron formed up behind him, engines thundering through the clouds in tight formation. Marcus's hands had stopped shaking. The grief remained, but it had sharpened him, not shattered him. He scanned the horizon, waiting, listening. Then, a flash of white. A familiar zero cut across the formation like a blade of moonlight. "There," Marcus whispered. The ghost had returned. The two aircraft locked into a spiral of motion, circling one another like twin storms. The duel was silent at first, no bullets, no rage, just two pilots reading each other, testing each other. Then the Zero broke upward into its signature maneuver. Kaminari no Mawari, the Thunder's turn. Marcus didn't hesitate. He cut the left engine. The Lightning twisted into its violent spin, torque screaming through its frame. But Marcus held it together with surgical precision. For the first time, he kept up. For the first time, the ghost was no longer untouchable. And for the first time, Marcus felt the Japanese pilot hesitate, because now he had a rival. The duel stretched longer than any dogfight Marcus had ever fought. There were no witnesses, no allies, no enemies. Just two men and the sky. Bullets shredded the air between them, tracing silver lines that vanished into cloud and sunlight. Each maneuver grew tighter, each turn sharper. Then Marcus did it. He slipped behind the Zero's tail. Crosshairs lined up. His finger tightened on the trigger. He could end it, end the mystery, end the rivalry, end the thing that had haunted him since Sparrow fell. But then he saw the pilot's eyes through the canopy. Not a demon, not a monster, just a young man with a life behind him and a future ahead of him. A man who had spared Marcus 3 times now. Marcus took his finger off the trigger. The Zero wavered midair, almost stunned. Then the pilot dipped his wings. A gesture that said, "Thank you." And he disappeared into the clouds, leaving Marcus alone in the sky, breathing heavily, not from fear, but from relief. For the first time in a long while, Marcus felt human again. Rumors traveled faster than aircraft, across bases, across islands, across entire units on both sides. Pilots whispered about the American and the Japanese ace who refused to kill each other. Some called it a legend, some called it a miracle, some called it madness. Marcus didn't care what anyone called it. The sky between him and the ghost pilot had become a sanctuary in a world that couldn't stop killing itself. But the war around them continued to burn, even as its flames began to dim. Marcus flew missions, but something had changed in him. He shot to survive, not to win. He attacked engines, not cockpits. He protected his squadron, not his ego. War ends eventually, Benny told him, but the way you live through it, that stays. Marcus didn't answer, because deep down he feared one thing. What would happen when the sky no longer needed him? The last encounter came without warning. A massive coastal operation was underway, an operation so large the sea itself seemed to tremble. Pilots scrambled as explosions lit up the water like angry suns. And then, a familiar zero rose from the chaos. Marcus felt his heartbeat steady. The ghost had returned for the final time. They met in the open sky, far from the chaos below. No words exchanged, no signals given, just two pilots acknowledging what this encounter meant. Their last dance. The duel erupted into a storm of motion. Marcus used the lightning twist with the fluid confidence of a man who finally understood his machine. The ghost executed the thunder's turn with a mastery that bordered on divine. The sky itself became a kaleidoscope of silver and white. But halfway through the fight, the Zero sputtered. Not much, just a hiccup in the engine. And Marcus knew instantly he was out of fuel. The ghost broke off and drifted toward the ocean, gliding gently, gracefully, like a leaf surrendering to gravity. Marcus followed. When the Zero pilot reached the surface, he opened his canopy. The wind tore at his clothes as he climbed onto the wing. He bowed. A full, deep bow. A bow of respect. A bow of gratitude. A bow of farewell. Then he leaped into the air, parachute billowing open behind him. His aircraft hit the sea and vanished in a plume of water. Marcus circled above him once, silently, before turning back toward base. He knew this was the last time he'd ever see the ghost in the sky, but fate had other plans. 2 weeks later, Marcus received unexpected orders. Assist at a prisoner exchange site. He expected paperwork. He expected chaos. He expected anything except a man in white bandages bowing deeply when Marcus entered the tent. Marcus froze. The ghost pilot, his eyes, sharp and calm, studied Marcus with quiet recognition. The interpreter stepped forward. "This is Lieutenant Kenji Sato. He wishes to speak with you." Kenji spoke slowly, painfully, each word carrying weight. "You spared me," he said. "You spared me first," Marcus replied. Kenji smiled, small, fragile, but genuine. The interpreter continued. "He says he followed a code, a personal rule. Never kill a pilot who aims away from the cockpit." That stunned Marcus. He had always aimed for engines, not bodies. Always. Kenji had noticed. Kenji had honored it. Two enemies, bound by an unspoken truth. Before their meeting could end, Kenji reached into the inner pocket of his worn uniform. His hands trembled slightly. He held out a single folded paper. Marcus took it and felt the world tilt. It was Sparrow's letter, her handwriting, her last words, the message she had never mailed. Kenji spoke softly. "I found it when I searched the wreck of the female pilot's plane. I kept it safe until now." Marcus couldn't breathe. His hands shook as he clutched the letter, unable to open it, unable to let it go. "She fought with honor," Kenji said. "She died with courage." Marcus swallowed hard, and for the first time since her death, he felt the crushing weight of grief soften, just slightly, under the warmth of understanding. As the prisoner exchange concluded, Kenji prepared to leave with the others, still bandaged and recovering. But before he did, he turned to Marcus once more. "I wish to make a promise," he said. Marcus nodded. "Name it." "When the war ends, do not chase death anymore. Do not seek the sky to hide your heart. Live, truly live." Marcus blinked. "And you?" he asked. Kenji's eyes softened. "If the world allows it, I will fly again, but this time I will teach children to love the sky, not fear it. The moment hung in the air, fragile, pure, impossible. An American pilot and a Japanese pilot, bound not by war but by mercy. They shook hands. Two men who should have been enemies, who instead became each other's salvation. The war ended months later, echoing across the world like a long exhale after years of choking. Soldiers cheered, cities cried, families reunited or mourned in silence. Marcus left the military soon after. He didn't want medals, he didn't want honors, he wanted peace. He found a small home near the coast where the sea breeze reminded him of sparrows' laughter and the whispers of engines he once trusted with his life. One evening he finally opened her letter. The paper was worn from time and tears. It read, "Marcus, if something ever happens to me, promise me this. Do not shut your heart. Don't let the world turn you into stone. Live enough for both of us." His knees buckled, the sea blurred, and for the first time, Marcus let himself cry. Life moved forward, slowly, softly, like a sunrise over calm waters. Marcus became a flight instructor, not for war, but for young dreamers who saw planes as wings, not weapons. His students adored him for his patience, his quiet strength, and his reverence for the sky. He married years later, had children, and built a life Sparrow would have been proud of. Across the ocean, Kenji Sato kept his promise too. He opened a flight school in Japan, teaching discipline, kindness, and humility. His students described him as a man who carried both sadness and wisdom in equal measure. The two former enemies wrote letters often, not of war, but of life, of teaching, of family, of flying in peace. They lived the promise they made to each other, to choose life over bitterness, mercy over vengeance, understanding over fear. And now, decades later, Marcus sat on the veteran's home porch, the sunset painting the sky in colors no artist could capture. A young pilot in training approached him. She had Sparrow's fire in her eyes. "Sir," she asked, "what was the greatest tactic you ever learned?" Marcus chuckled, not bitterly, warmly. "It wasn't a tactic," he said. "It was a choice." The student tilted her head. "A choice," Marcus nodded, watching the sun sink beyond the horizon. "The choice not to kill when I had every reason to. The choice to see the man behind the enemy. The choice to stay human, even when the world begged me not to." The student didn't understand fully. Not yet. But she would. Marcus leaned back, the sky glowing like the memory of a promise. And across the sea at that very moment, in a humble airfield in Japan, Kenji Sato paused during a lesson and smiled, as if hearing an echo from the past. Two old men looking at the same sunset from different worlds. Two men who should have destroyed each other. Two men who chose mercy instead. And that, more than any maneuver or tactic, was the truest thing ever called impossible.